What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another video. We're gonna go ahead and get into this little video here. Oh, we got some interesting stuff today. But first, let's go with the joke of the day. You're welcome. Yeah.
Oh no, I'm stuck. Stepbrother, can you help me?
Yeah, I'll help you out, sis. You good? You okay?
Yeah, thanks for helping me out, stepbro.
Awesome. Just making sure you're good. Okay. What do you think was gonna happen, you sick fuck? Get your mind out of the gutter. I'm a man of God.
Alright guys, let's look at some of these posts. Oh, let's get into the nitty-gritty. Alright, what's the worst NSFW thing you've done in your teens? Oh, it's gonna get juicy, y'all.
Masturbated while riding a bike down a country lane. Full daylight. Had to be careful of the occasional car. I'm not even upset. That's damn impressive. Was about to have sex for the first time. Girl's mom walked in just before. While we were completely naked. Scared me really ducking bad. Few months later trying again to have my first time but am now super paranoid. She was blowing me in her basement and the water heater turned on. Scared me so bad I went soft in her mouth. Oh, that last line is hilarious. My ex used to work at a photography studio. She'd be there alone a lot so I'd come to visit. We'd have sex in the room where they'd take everyone's pictures and stuff. Felt like I was in a PRNO shoot. Everything was DR red and white. Maybe it wasn't, she just tricked you. Now you are a star in Indonesia and could be a thousandaire, but because of your own recklessness to check if the cameras were rolling. Edit. Thanks, I got my gold wings. I was 17 and at the time I was working at a store in the mall. A friend of mine asked me for a ride to the mall and I semi-jokingly said sure. But only if I can get some head or something along those lines. To my surprise she said yes. I picked her up and we arrived at the mall and I'm still expecting her to back out at this point. She then tells me to get in the backseat and she goes to work on me. This is mid-afternoon in a busy mall parking lot, by the way. The act itself wasn't amazing but I still managed to finish. The thing is, she pulled her mouth off right away and I shot my load all over my work clothes. Bear in mind that my work uniform was all black. Not a fun day at work after that. This one is not safe for work on 2 levels. My best friend was a peeping Tom. He told me about our very hot neighborhood girl who was a high school cheerleader and that she undresses without pulling her shades. I didn't believe him. So he challenged me to come with him one day. We climbed about 3/4 up on a 50-foot tree in the back of her house and waited. Sure enough, the lights come on and there she is in her magnificent nakedness. I fapped for months after that day. I still feel guilty about it decades later. Is your best friend George McFly? An awkward foursome. What made your golf partner so awkward? Had sex in my city's mayor's RV. We didn't know it was his RV until he showed up one day to do some repairs while I was balls deep. Edit. The mayor lives on the same street as I do and I ended up marrying the girl I was caught with some years later. Now from time to time we see his RV parked on the street and can't help but laugh. Even though we both really want to have a go in it again. Time to leave your city when your mayor lives in an RV. I got a hand job in the backseat of a car. During the day. Me sitting directly behind the driver. With nothing covering my penis. With the girl's mom driving. The girl's mom knew. Seriously. If you saw your daughter jerking off some dude in the backseat, what the duck would you do? You'd want to say something, but what? Rubbed one out in a public pool when no one was around at night. I didn't realize there were cameras till after I finished. Never heard from the building manager and I still live there. If it makes you feel any better. They probably don't check the cameras unless there's an incident like. I don't know. I've got a lot of crazy sex and dumb shit to do in the next 3 months before I turn 20 to catch up with you animals. Me and a friend jerked each other off in exchange for seeing a girl naked during a game of truth or dare. I regret nothing. It's not gay if you do it for the boobs. I ducked a chicken pot pie. Friend and I peeped on his girlfriend because his friends didn't believe they were dating. Not sure how peeping proved anything, but it worked. Oh. I read this as peed at first. Peeped make it better than what I was thinking. GF gave me a BJ with my parents in the front seat. We put a coat over her head. She was napping. She's probably just having one of those bobbing for apples dreams she has all the time. Edit. Thanks you Big Tim Burrito for the gold. And for making me crave Mexican food. They knew. One of my closest friends and I got simultaneous handjobs and sequential blowjobs, yay sloppy seconds for me. Comma from a girl in a movie theater when I was 17. The movie? Red Tails. Ducked a chick while two of our friends, a couple, were in the bed watching a movie with us. They didn't care. They then later had sex with me in the room a couple weeks later when I was hanging out at the guy's place and she stopped around. Pretty tame I guess, but OHH well. At 16. Had sex with the preacher's son at the center of the Christian college. I didn't even know him very well. Or go to church as much as he did. We just snuck out of our own houses and he took me there. It was awesome. So you're trying to tell me is that the only one who could ever reach you was in fact the son of preacher man? About 19 at the time. GF is giving me a blowjob. Her mom walks down the hall to see her daughter with a mouthful of DCK. Turns and walks back. Never says a word. Next day. GF said her mom kept looking like she wanted to say something to her. But never did. Skipped class to have a drink. Pocket flask were in as a joke. Drinking age 16 here. And bookie obsession with my GF at the time. Everybody in class. So empty halls. Right? My teacher came out to grab something in the office and saw me with my hands under the GF's shirt and that stupid silver flask. Teacher only rolled eyes and said, "Living the good life." GGG teacher. Did you get in trouble at all? Got a blowjob from a girl in the middle of a camping ground. Finished literally seconds before we saw someone with a flashlight coming our way. I was 16. And fooling around with a girl in the back of my car after school. I wasn't expecting to have sex with her. It just kinda got to that point. I didn't have any condoms. But we didn't want to raw dog it. So I grabbed the first aid kit and pulled out a latex glove. I am masturbated on camera to strangers on the internet. Yeah, but like who hasn't? My neighbor was a huge bitch to my mom. So a couple of friends and I broke into her house, upper decked her toilet, and poured laxatives in their apple cider. We filmed it then destroyed the film when we got older. What is this? I can't fap to this. Foursome. 2 guys 2 girls, when I was 15. Totally unexpected. And girl action too. Next day I went to church and thanked God. And I'm not even religious. I just wanted to say thanks to the higher power that put me on this earth. Went to confessionary. Me and my friends did a foursome. Priest. Do you regret? OP. Of course not. Daily sex in the school chapel. Me and my ex were walking down by the docks of boats in a state park on Long Island. We were both in high school. Aka young and horny. So we hopped onto a random stranger's boat and started fooling around. Ended up with her riding me while I was sitting in the captain's chair. Bent her over while she was grabbing the steering wheel. Went on for a bit. Then decided to come across the control panel. Straightened ourselves up. And continued on our lovely afternoon stroll. That was my boat. You bastard. Whoa. I was 16 and had sex with a 45-year-old woman. She was the kinkiest and best I've had to date. This includes my wife sadly. Did she bake you cookies after? Lost my virginity to a girl in a relationship in her best friend's bed. A best friend had liked me for quite some time. Then later had sex with the best friend in the same bed and all I could think was, this looks familiar. I'm still in my teens. You guys have given me a lot to live up to. When I found out my girlfriend cheated on me when I was 17, I was devastated. Went to University of Illinois with some friends to party and get my mind off of her. Met her best friend there who heard about what had happened, and after a couple bars and a lot of drinks, I ended up having sex with her and her Asian roommate. Safe to say, I felt a lot better after that weekend. Stuck a troll's head up my ass. I guess he paid the troll toll. First hand job in the back of a church van filled with boys. This is when I discovered I was gay. This whole sentence was a ride. In a single night, we may have taken some hard drugs, wrote a girl's entire next album, and had a threesome while listening to a Simon and Garfunkel album. Ducked a married woman at age 16 while her child was next door. Ran off with some strangers during bike week when I was 17. Did a shitty ton of drugs. Drank gallons of booze. And ended up sleeping with 2 of the strangers in a flea motel. Time of my life. When I was 17, at the farm I worked at, I drove a John Deere tractor straight down a steep hill at full speed. I'm lucky to be walking right now. That was very NSFW. My ex-boyfriend's 17th birthday, his parents left the house for a bit and specified they would be back in an hour. They never left us alone. They specifically left so that we could have sex. As my ex said, his ducking birthday present was sex. We did. All over the house. But it wasn't when he lost his virginity. Since we had been having sex for a while before that. Broad daylight in his car, pulled on the side of the road. Fields. So many fields on the way home. On the golf course at night after prom. In the back of my mom's truck for New Year's while everyone was popping fireworks. Every time my mom would leave for a second. In a closet while playing hide and seek with his nephews. On his mom's massage table in her office. We were like rabbits. But seriously, he had some great parents to do that. Always had condoms accessible in the house. No sex shaming. Very educational. Very open. Great parents. Someone offered to pay me so he can eat me out, and I agreed. Thus, starting my daddy-daughter fetish. Used a banana skin to fab. It was amazing. Lost my virginity when I was 13 to a 16-year-old in Monte Carlo. I still don't know if I regret it or not. Had a wank in the back of the car while my mum was driving. I had windsurf kit diagonally across the car, so I figured it'd be fine. Looking back, it probably wasn't. I thought I could just watch a bit of PRN on my Argus. No biggie. Had sex with 2 men at the same time at age 16. They were in their 30s and the whole thing was recorded. You know when you look back on things and say, wow, I was a stupid kid. I don't have the tape. That's probably my worst mistake ever. Not getting that tape. But the sex was absolutely mind-blowing. Then my mom found out and threatened to put them in jail. Awkward. Right? Edit. Okay. So obligatory RIP. My inbox is dead. It was entertaining reading all of your comments. PMs. Especially the needless hate and shame. It is a thread about the worst NSFW thing you've ever done. You folks realize that, right? Ah well. Edit too. Feeling the love now. Thanks to everyone who had something positive to say. I really didn't expect this to blow up like it did. Well, at least you had a nice time. I was 69 with a girl in the park in my young teenage years. Her butthole had beads of sweat running over it and near my little exploring nose. Some people passed by. I think kids. Then I finished and she took Coca-Cola from her bag, saying it helps the taste get out my mouth. The dog. The peanut butter. The regrets. Edit. Duck. Like I really wanted my top rated comment to be this. Thanks guys. You leave Colby alone. Hopefully this gets buried at the bottom. Last semester of high school. My friends and I were goofing around. Ready to graduate and off to uni. Not a care in the world. I excused myself to use the restroom and my best mate dared me to go into a stall and to try and pee over into the next stall's toilet. Basically, point my gun upwards and pee into the adjacent stall. Since it was only a few days till we left the school for good, I decided duck it. Why not? Unfortunately, when I went into my stall, I forgot to check and see if anyone was in the stall beside me, and of course, my DCK friends didn't remind me. So I pointed upwards, about 65-70 degree angle, and let her rip. Next thing I know, I hear a kid screaming at the sudden Niagara Falls of PSS coming down on him, and this is according to my friends. Ducking bolts out of the stall. Pants around ankles. Pee dripping all over. Thankfully I never saw his face nor did he see mine. I played video games that were rated M when I was 15. Pretty wild. I know. Edit. Till games are not rated R. I was experimenting with my body when I was around 15 and got the smallest SX toy my mom had and put it in my ass and started to fap. My parents get home from shopping. I had no time to find out a good way to poop out the DLDO, so I just pulled up my pants and moved the towel and lube into the bathroom and went to help unpack the car, with the DLDO still in my ass. Dot. I've had a really boring, vanilla life apparently. Was in the process of ducking my girlfriend at my friend's house while he was still asleep at my house. She's going down on me. His dad comes home for lunch and walks into his son's room because it's a pretty small house and he hears something. I get up, pull up my pants and stick my naked girlfriend behind the door. He asks what I'm doing there. I tell him I forgot the AV cables for my GameCube at his house. True. And came back to get them before his son, still at my house, woke up. I show him the cable and he doesn't question it at all. Just says okay and grabs his lunch and goes back to work. All the while my 15-year-old girlfriend is a foot from him, naked and separated only by the door, looking right at me and praying we don't get caught. It sounds like bragging, but I feel badly about it now. I treated the girls very poorly. But when I was 18 I was casually dating several girls. I was heading up to the Air Force in a day or two, so 2 of the girls gave their virginity to me. On the same day. Not together. They didn't even know each other. One during the day, one in the evening. Had sex for the first time ever. Girl's Navy parents home from work early. Hid in the closet upstairs. Girl talks to parents. Little brothers come home. Mom makes dinner. Whole family eats dinner. I hear all of this happen. Finally leave while they're on the back deck and have to run home. I was in that goddamn closet for 5 hours. My first hand job ever when I was almost 17. I was a late bloomer. Happened in a movie theater in Scotland on a school trip. I lived with a guy there and the girl I was with had one of the girls from my school living with her. The guy I lived with got shot down once trying to kiss the girl I was with, and the girl that lived with her hated me already. They sat about 4 seats away instead of right next to us because they didn't like being near us when we were cuddling at the movie. Well, we had her jacket over us and she just started rubbing it and it got all over my shirt. I had to put my hoodie over my shirt to leave the theater when the movie was over. I don't remember much of The Great Gatsby, but damn, I love that movie now. First hand job at 17 as a late bloomer. I dropped a 1-stroke 2-ton steel plate, scorching my jeans and falling a hair away from my boot. Funny thing, it was my workplace, but totally not safe for work. Edit. That place was wicked. We also did forklift drag races in the backyard and drift in between the laser machines. Well, nobody else did. So now I have to be that guy. I'm sorry, there is a 12-year-old in me that just can't resist. And I have never got to post this before. So here goes. Art's mom. Same. A threesome that ended in injecting heroin. The ducking audacity of my younger self is making me uncomfortable. When I was 14-16, My first girlfriend and I would have sex in the backseat of her mom's van while she was driving. She would sit on my lap and just pull down her pants. Other times when we had a blanket, I'd finger her while she was laying on me in the back. One time, we were caught in her room and she strategically got up after her mom stormed up, giving me time to get dressed. They could only see us under the blankets. Gosh, we were ridiculous. Arcs. Empty houses. At the foot of my parents' bed when they were sleeping, that's where we had to stay when she spent the night. It gave me a lot of experience, but I still feel stupid for it all. My eventual children have no ducking chance of getting away with anything with the shitty I've done. Sigh. I jizzed my pants in the middle of class just to see if I could. The first college football game I went to was at Mile High Stadium in Denver. I had sex in one of the stadium's men's bathrooms. It was packed, and someone must have tipped off security. This security guy's forces opened the store and, to the cheers of all the guys in the bathroom, escorts the two of us out of the stadium without letting us button zip our pants. Since they have our arms in a lock, we can't really pull our pants up as we walk, so the security guy is constantly grabbing my belt loop and yanking up hard, giving me a violent, nut-crushing wedgie every minute or so. I guess those tight girl shorts stay on because she said she did not get any wedgies. We get out of the stadium, thankfully without any charges, and an hour drunk. Stupid state. Go have sex in the tailgate parking lot between cars. Luckily it was only the occasional tailgater cheering, instead of a cop arresting. I jerked off out of a train window in Zimbabwe. Okay. Fine, it was 3 months ago. Not what you're going for, OP. But in the literal sense. Mine is probably hotboxing a boxcar. My friends and I would walk to a cool smoke spot along train tracks. And one time there was a freight train parked on one of the tracks. The door to one of the boxcars was left unlocked. So we had the great idea of smoking in the boxcar. After we were sufficiently high, we heard a rumbling, which was a train coming on the tracks next to us. My friend thought it was our train starting to move, and almost jumped out of the boxcar in front of the moving train. One of my friends grabbed his shirt and pulled him in at the last second. So yeah. Playing around moving trains isn't safe for work. Boyfriend at the time and I had a sex video. Yeah, he showed everyone. Ruined my life. I didn't finish the assignments on time. Yeah. One of my friends from high school was sleeping over at a different friend's house and he decided to hump this kid's dog as a joke, and apparently he rammed it so hard that it broke its spine and it died. So naturally, the whole school started calling him Dog Harper. There was no easy way for him to avoid this story or the reputation it proceeded to bring. It was just an innocent humping of a dog. But it got nasty real quick. Wore sneakers instead of approved no-slip safety shoes in a slippery work environment. I banged way too much in public. As an 18-year-old virgin. Double teamed my HS. When I was 18 I was out alone in the big city. I was in a gay club. Had a blast. I was horny OFC. Saw two guys checking me out. As the night goes by I made out with them. Danced pretty intensely. Everything was looking like we'd have a threesome later. As we want to leave, they said they couldn't take me home with them. My drunken self said, "Let's go to my place." I was living with my mom in a small apartment 45 minutes by train in another city. These guys said yes. And that's the story how I had my first threesome in my room while my mom was in the next room having breakfast and preparing for work. SRY for spelling.